My husband is a farmer. One night he asked me to pick him up after working ground and it was pretty late, around 10 o'clock. So I loaded our two girls up then for M% and headed to the field. We get to the field and see us finishing up his last round, so we had to wait for a minute. I rolled the windows down in the van and shut the engine off. After a few minutes my 2-year-old says, "Mommy, who that man outside?" I said, "I don't see a man, is your candle on the floor?" My 4-year-old then piped up, "He's right outside your door and staring at you. He's scary. He has blood on his face." That's when I turned the key, rolled the windows up, locked the doors and called my husband and told him to hurry the hell up because the girls are terrified and there's apparently a scary man outside my door that I can't see, but both girls are describing him and what he's doing. Thankfully she was done and heading up to the van at that moment and we left. My girls are now 5 and 7 and they both still remember that man and refuse to go to that particular field. I have to ask my mill to watch them when I need to pick their daddy up from there. You're winning this thread. My 3-year-old while eating dinner told me there was a man on the balcony with red eyes with his mouth gaping open like a scream face. We live on the 3rd floor and the only access to that balcony is from inside. Needless to say I didn't turn around. He said so much weird things. We live in a really old apartment and I don't believe in ghosts, but he creeps me out. Edit. He's also mentioned a little boy upside down scratching at the ceiling, just casually like it was nothing. On the meantime I'm sitting myself. My oldest is almost 3 and she stares at fans and smiles really big. I'm waiting for the day she tells me about something living above the fan. My husband turned on the ceiling fan for the first time this year and my 1.5-year-old daycare kid was in awe. Spent an hour just pointing and staring at it open-mouthed. I told his dad at pickup, thinking he had never seen one before, and he was like, "Yeah, we have one at home." He does that every time. Forget TV, just turn on a fan for the kid if you need to get something done. My nephew is obsessed with ceiling fans. Just got officially diagnosed as nonverbal autistic at 4. I warned my brother that obsession with fans or anything that moves repetitively at a constant speed is a cause for concern. As a teacher, we are constantly trained on autism warning signs, and that's one of them. So, my son and I stood watching his then 2-year-old daughter as she stood looking, laughing, and chatting away in toddler gibberish at nothing in a completely empty hallway. We just watched her and looked at each other with a WTF look on our faces. Same granddaughter, some years later, still sleeps with me when she visits because that girl scares her. That's all she'll say because evidently the girl told her not to tell anyone about her. And now that girl scares all of you. We've always been careful about not watching anything scary or reading scary books, but as soon as she was old enough to really talk about 2.5, she told us randomly one day, "I used to live in a different house with a mommy and a brother named John. I was older than I am now. One day I was on the bridge looking into the water when a witch came up and scratched out my eyes. I fell in the water and drowned, and then I came to you. I don't believe in past lives or anything, and I know kids are just highly suggestible, but that gave me the damn creeps." Ha, my kids both told me about the before this time, too. My daughter said she was singing to Allah in a parking lot with a bunch of other people, and my son said he was a big brown dog before he came to me. I'll point out we're not religious at all and couldn't figure out where my daughter learned about Allah. I mean, the Allah thing was really specific and you'd think she'd say God because that's more common here, but no. My son was apparently a good boy because I asked what happened to make him come to me and he said there was a big bad man being mean. Not a parent, but my cousin is. This was about last year. For a non-sake I'll call him Dave. We were out on an all-day fishing trip and told me that if I wanted to spend the night at his place, I was more than welcome to. Not seeing him in a while and still wanting to shoot the shit, I said sure. He lives in a rancher with his wife of 2 years and their 7-year-old son. He's a good part older than me. When we got back to his place, we had dinner, watched TV, normal things with nothing eventful happening. Eventually his wife and son went to bed, which left us alone in the living room. That's when I asked him, "You liking this place so far?" Mind you, the last time we saw each other, he was living in a different place at the time. He said yeah, but was making a face that you could tell he wanted to see more. He eventually followed up with, "Don't get me wrong, this place is great, but there's just something weird about it. I don't know what it is," which I told him it's a new place and he probably hasn't gotten used to it quite yet. He agreed and we went back to watching some show and we could faintly hear his son talking. We just look at each other and dismiss it, thinking he was talking in his sleep or something. An hour goes by and it's getting late, and Dave can still hear his son talking, so he decides to check on him as to why he's up. He enters his son's room with a, "Hey buddy, why are you?" This is followed up by him shuffling to pick up his son and carry him out, slamming on the door and waking his wife and sending us all out of the house. I'm obviously freaked, Dave is freaked, his wife Jen is groggy and confused, but their son is just poker face about the whole situation, no reaction. As soon as I know, we're all out on the sidewalk in front of his house when he asks me to call the police. I oblige, not even thinking if it was a prank, and wait. I asked him what happened and took him a well together response. Then he looked at me with the weirdest facial expression and said he was on his bed sitting up talking towards the closet. When I looked over to see what was in there, I saw an old man, and I swear to God, man, he was smiling at me. He was tearing up as he was telling me this. Police arrive. They check the house, no sign of entry at all, everything except the front door is locked. When everything was said and done, Dave made everyone sleep out in the living room at night. I went home, and 4 months after that night, they moved. I see him even more since he ended up moving closer to me. I asked him if he moved because of the men he saw, and he'll just shrug it off, almost like he saw him again. Either way, something happened that night. Now his son plays Fortnite, so you decide what's creepier. When our son was about 7 years old, sometimes when he walked past the TV it would turn off or come on. He couldn't do it at will, just accidentally. After a few months it just quit happening. Your son is an X-Man. You must nurture his gift. He's the kid that Wolverine walks in on watching TV at night. That's the power I want. If you have fire eyes or can turn into a wolf, you're going to end up having people try to kill you. I want to not have to sleep and turn the channel with my brain. Obligatory, not apparent, but I feel like this is fitting. I had to babysit a herd of kids on the ranch I lived at. I think it's a herd. I mean, 7 kids is a lot. Their ages ranged from 7 to 12, so it was a treat as an 18-year-old to try and keep a semblance of order. Thankfully, half of them weren't allowed to watch TV normally, so I turned on SpongeBob and let them zone out in watching it. By the by, that's creepy enough in its own right to me. Anyway, before I get to the creepy part, one need to explain the layout of the house. It's very long house. If you were looking straight at its center, it had a fenced-in courtyard with a huge living room bordering it. This living room had floor-to-ceiling glass both sides, so you could see through the backyard, which was a casually sloping grass lawn. On the left side was the kitchen, garage, a huge dining room, and a bathroom for the pool-goers. Note, the living room and kitchen side of things are level with the ground. The bedrooms are all on the right side. There are 4, with about 7 beds between them, another bathroom, and all the windows are elevated. The windows basically start midway up the wall. There is also another restroom tucked in the hallway. There is no way to exit from the bedrooms, but if there were, you would need stairs or ramp, as on that side the ground drops a good 5 to 6 feet minimum. Well, all the adults are out exploring the ranch. TBH, I suspect the father of half the kids more wanted to go have kinky forest fun times with his new GF, and I'm stuck with the herd. They all finally chill out and I excuse myself to use the bathroom. I cruise through the kitchen, through the dining room, to the outside pool bathroom, do my thing, and come back to the living room the way I came. As I walk in, all the kids are fucking stoked. Like, they went from TV gremlins to just fucking amazed and excited. They are all standing near the entrance to the bedroom hallway, pointing out the window going, "I just saw him." They all have their backs to me, so I kind of startled them when I asked them what they saw. They whirled around, dumbstruck, and asked me how the heck I did that. They all swear they saw me, or rather they saw someone who looked like me and wearing a white t-shirt like me, walk right by that bedroom window from the outside. I raised an eyebrow, then had to think about the following. We are alone on a huge ranch. The kids' families are wealthy as fuck. There is a potential of either a poacher, a drug grower, or a random person of questionable means having found this house. I tell the kids to lock themselves in the closest bedroom and not to come out until I say so. I pop open the gun locker and grab the closest shotgun ranchers for the win. We use them for snakes that are in hard to get to places, and I dart out the front to cut off whoever the heck is walking around the house. Well, no one is there. Driveway is empty, no tracks in the dirt beyond car tracks. I can see far and wide thanks to freshly mowed fields. I walk back to the bedroom window to see if I could find anything hinting at someone having been there, and nothing. That's when it dawned on me. I'm standing under the very same window they saw someone walking in front of. I'm 5'9" in, and this window is easily 6.5 feet off the ground. They claim they saw my DSHIRT and torso clearly, though the window, whatever they saw, had to have been tall as fuck. That's when my blood ran cold and proceeded to lock down the whole place, turn on movies for the kids, and nursed that gun until the parents came home. Naturally, the parents thought I was overreacting. But to be honest, in the middle of nowhere, I'm not taking any chances. I would never want to live somewhere like that. I would get no sleep and would constantly be checking out windows. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.